I know a little bit about brothers. I'm going to do a thing, so excuse me for a second. But just know that I'm doing a thing. I am a sibling. That's one of the ways I know about brothers. My brother, who has preached here before in the early summer, is 11 years my senior, an opportunity I never miss to bring up when we get together. So I know about brothers. I know about the love and envy at the same time. I know about the competition and emulation, and if anybody else ever says anything about your brother, then all of a sudden you're on the same side and nobody else gets to. I know that. I think all siblings have some sort of special bond, but I mean, when in a healthy family, of course, brothers just share something. There's just something about it. Some of my favorite music has come from brother bands, right? The Everly Brothers, the Isley Brothers, the Avett Brothers, the Van Halen Brothers, the Jackson Brothers. The Gallaghers are back. Did you know that? Oasis is back. They're going to have a tour and a show next year if they can hold it together long enough. And Oasis they've been historically feuding between these two brothers for years, and they were never going to perform together again. I think that Van Halen, some of the stuff that Van Halen does could not have been done if they were not brothers, if they were not that closely connected. Some of the rhythms that are happening between the guitar player and the drum set player, those two brothers, normal people without that bond couldn't do what they did. My favorite brothers, some of my favorite brothers, are Boromir and Faramir, sons of Denethor from Lord of the Rings. Boromir goes to the meeting, the first initial meeting where the Fellowship of the Ring is formed, to talk about what is going to happen to this Ring of Doom that Gandalf and the King of the Elves is the Ring of Power of Sauron, and Boromir goes as the representative of the race of men, of the human race, and joins the Fellowship. He's the older brother. Faramir stays Denethor. And Boromir is tempted by the ring and tries to take it from Frodo Baggins, the ring bearer. And Faramir has an opportunity to be tempted by the ring and try to take it from Frodo. And Faramir does not give in to that temptation. But they are pitted against one another their entire life. And Faramir, in the eyes of Denethor, is absolutely never, ever good enough because he is not Boromir. We get introduced to Faramir in The Two Towers, the second book, the second movie, where he discovers Frodo Baggins. And we get a scene in there where Faramir just has had enough and just says, "You wish that I had died and my brother had lived, don't you?" And his dad says, "Yes, I wish for that." Before Denethor descends completely into absolute madness. So now we have James and John, the sons of Zebedee, the sons of thunder, the coolest nickname that Jesus has ever given anyone. James and John, the sons of Zebedee, sons of thunder, the sons of Zebedee. Remember, they jumped out of the boat when Jesus said, "Follow me." They left their dad in the fishing boat. They walked away from Zebedee still fishing and followed Jesus, the sons of thunder. And they want to sit at his right hand and his left hand. Sarah, please come forward and sit here in this seat, please, for us. Mackenzie, will you please come forward and sit at my left hand? Now, what does this look like to you? What does this seem like? What does this look like from out there? Some sort of ruling class? Some sort of court? Yeah? We look important like this? Okay. Thank you. I like it. I like this a lot. Hey, give him a round of applause for coming forward and sitting in a chair. You did very well. You're dismissed. Yeah, thank you. That's all I needed. Thank you very much. Yes, very much. When James and John said, "In your glory," when James and John said, "Sit one of us at your left hand and one of us at your right hand in your glory," that's what they meant. When you are seated on the throne of Jerusalem once again, when you have reestablished the kingdom of David, sit one of us at your right hand and one of us at your left hand. This was how you got power in this world, and this was how you demonstrated the power you got in this world. At dinner time, at feasts, it would be the royal's family. It would be the spouse of the royal, and it would be the heir of the royal. But the two highest ranking members of the family at the right hand, at the left hand. At festivals, at any kind of holiday, it would be the visiting dignitaries, the neighboring king, somebody that they were trying to work out an alliance with. That the king of the place would be in the middle, and the king that they were trying to woo and trying to impress would be at the right hand. At court, when they were at business, the highest counselor to the authority, to the royal, would be at the right hand. Maybe the highest religious authority over on the left hand, the high priests or whoever. James and John wanted these seats, and they wanted them literally. They wanted them on this earth in their lifetime when Jesus took Jerusalem back from the Romans and sat on the throne of David again. Put one of us on your right hand and one of us on your left. So let's take a look at this for a second. We are in Mark chapter 10. We're going to this scripture passage. So I don't know where this comes from at all. James and John come out of nowhere. Jesus has just said a third time, so we're going to go to Jerusalem. and it's in order. It's very specific. We're going to go to Jerusalem. I'm going to be handed over to the chief priests and the scribes. They will condemn me to death. Then they will hand me over to the Romans, and they will mock him and spit on him and flog him and kill him. All of those things. Mock, spit, flog, and kill. And after 3 days, I will rise again. And James and John come out of nowhere with, "Hey, can you do something for us?" Like just immediately after this passage. One at your right hand and one at your left hand, and then Jesus says, "You don't have any idea what you're asking, right? You do not know what you are asking for. Be careful what you wish for," Jesus says. And they are confident. Their only response is to "Can you drink the cup that I drink? Can you be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with?" Which are both metaphors for the cross. Jesus is in cross mode at this point. Both the cup and this baptism are metaphors for the suffering of the cross, and they just say, of course we can. And of course they don't. They both, along with all of the other guys, desert and arrested Jesus at the crucifixion. They will come back. So, Jesus answers, okay, fine. You can drink from this cup and you will be baptized by the baptism that I am baptized with. Maybe a little bit of prophecy here for what's going to happen to James and John in the martyrdom of the first Christians under Emperor Nero in the Roman Empire. Maybe not. We don't know. But that assigning those seats is not my job. I don't have the authority to do that, Jesus says. He also says those seats are prepared, right? Did you catch that? Those seats are reserved already. I have some ideas about that. We'll get there. So this makes the other 10 disciples angry, and we have to wonder what they're angry about. They don't say, no, you guys are missing the point. We are not going to go take over Jerusalem. That was a metaphor the whole time. That you're missing. You got it wrong, James and John. What they're mad about is that James and John thought to ask this question first before they did. They're jealous. And Jesus says, that's not... So you know that among the Gentiles, which is just gospel for Egyptians, Syrians, Romans, you know that those whom they recognize as their rulers, lord it over them. And their great ones are tyrants. But it is not so among you. That's not how we're going to do things. Whoever wishes to become great among you must be your servant. And whoever wishes to be first among you must be slave to all. For the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve. And in this example, to give his life as a ransom for many. You know that this is how they do it. Out there in the Gentile world, there's one guy on the top, and that guy decides everything, and that guy has all the power, and the people are jostling and elbowing each other and betraying each other and clawing at each other and crawling over each other to get as close to that one person as possible, to get as most power out of the system that they possibly can. It's like, I don't know, like elbowing other world leaders out of the way so that you can get to the front of the line and be on camera best. Narcissists are incapable of putting anyone else before themselves. They can't do it. So they will do absolutely everything they can to get as close to that decision maker as possible. And Jesus says, but that's not how we're going to do things. Actually, he says it in the present tense. But that's not how it is among you. And you can feel the jealous disciples go, oh, crap. We messed up. Our greatness, our power, our status is going to come from how we serve in this world. Serve one another, how we serve the world, our communities, our neighborhoods. What we're not going to do with this is use Jesus' call to humility and servanthood as an excuse to perpetuate our own oppressions and discriminations and we're not going to use this to belittle or demean or oppress marginalized communities like the church has done historically throughout its existence. That's not what he meant, not going to go there. But I think, unfortunately, like James, we sometimes lose the thread. We can sometimes get distracted on the way. Remember, these guys absolutely, they leapt out of the boat to follow Jesus. They're called the sons of thunder because they're so enthusiastic and loud. And these are Jesus's bro followers. John's gospel names the disciple that pulled his sword in the garden and fought the guards off as Peter, but the other three don't. They say, and then one of them drew the sword, and I think it was one of the sons of thunder. They were ready to fight for Jesus. And then they got distracted. It's like walking behind a 5-year-old, right? You have maybe 30 seconds of attention. We go all over town looking for gluten-free food. We went to Olathe, Kansas, to Tony's Italian because they have a full menu of gluten-free pasta and pizza, and there's a church behind it that had pastor parking only signs next to the front door. Like before a handicap sign, before a family with kids sign, before a welcome of new visitors sign, there was a pastor parking only sign. Because Christians love to be important. You know who's really bad at servanthood? The church. Christians love to center themselves. You know what that means? I don't mean not like centering prayer, kind of centering. We love that too. Christians love to make themselves the center of all the stories, of the neighborhood, of society, of culture, particularly white Christians, particularly white American Christians, believe that we are the center of the world. We love to put ourselves in the middle of the story and put up our Christian parking first signs all over this world when Jesus told us to do the opposite. Christmas is everywhere. We know that. We are surrounded and we are inundated and we are permeated with the images and the symbols and the stories and the music of Christmas from November 1st to December 26th. And every year we have to hear about how there's a cultural war on Christmas. Because somebody at some time a while back decided to include Hanukkah and New Year's Eve in the greeting. And so we say all of those things. And every year we have to hear about how we are being persecuted by our culture for being Christians when Christendom is everywhere. And because a government can't actually celebrate a religious holiday of any kind, and so they'll have winter festivals and holiday concerts, and so we just can't be Christians in this country anymore. First of all, it's not happening. There is no such thing as a war on Christmas. Second of all, if there were, we're not supposed to care that there's a war on Christmas. What is it? Is there anything you know about Jesus Christ that makes you think he would want his birthday to be a big deal? No. But we love to center ourselves. We love to play the persecuted. We love to play the martyr when it's not happening. We take groups on mission trips to other places, on international mission trips, while our neighborhoods fall apart. Because the more exotic our mission trip pictures look, the better they look on our websites. We love to make the story about ourselves. And now, not now, for the past 50 years or so, 60 years, the Christian nationalist movement has sought to weave conservative Christian fundamentalism into the fabric of all government, all judicial, all legislative, all social, all cultural life in the United States of America, so that we can be the center of everything. Not only establishing Christianity as an official religion of our country, but enforcing belief. And Christian nationalism has always been intricately connected to white supremacy and patriarchal misogyny and heteronormative bigotry. And it is the opposite of what Jesus told us to do. It is the direct opposite. There is not one thing Christ-like about Christian nationalism. Jesus calls us to servanthood. Plato said, if you're not a good servant, you won't be a good leader. Didn't say it exactly like that, because he's Plato. What did he say? He said, "He who is not a good servant will not be a good master." The absolute heart of Christian discipleship is servanthood. It's what following Jesus is all about. And not just servanthood on one Saturday morning a month when we go to Harvesters, or the occasional food drive or mission trip, but a life of servanthood in our neighborhoods, in our communities, a disciple lets people cut in line. A disciple of Jesus Christ pulls over and helps with the flat tire on the side of the road. Every time. A disciple of Jesus Christ lends a hand to somebody who's got too much stuff in their arms and can't carry it all. We hold doors open. Every time. A disciple of Jesus Christ gives the panhandler $1 out of the car window. Every time. Without asking, well, how much good am I doing by just give him $1. There is one time where a follower of Jesus Christ is allowed not to let everybody go first, and that is at a four-way stop. When you come to a four-way stop and you're clearly on the right-hand side, or you have clearly gotten there before everybody else in the circle, you are not being Christ-like by letting all three of the other cars go. Learn the rules and go in order. We should have to make room for our Bible studies and our game nights because of all of the stuff that we have in our churches to give away to the communities. We shouldn't have to make room in our Bible study space to do missions. We should have to make room in our missions space to hold Bible study. Churches, Christian churches, should be overflowing with people that need help because they know that no matter what it is, the Jesus people are going to find a way to figure it out and get it done. Instead, our churches are emptying out because Christians are mean. People don't go to church anymore because Christians are mean. Period. They can say it, they can call it hypocrisy, they can call it whatever they want to call it. So Jesus puts this in theological terms, as he often does with the last sentence. Because the Son of Man, because I didn't come to serve. I didn't come to be served. I didn't come to take this throne. I came to serve. And in this particular metaphor, Jesus uses ransom language. I came to give my life as a ransom for many. Jesus was never the prize to be won. Jesus was the price to be paid. In this example, Jesus offers his life for the recovery of something taken, the recovery of something stolen and held captive until a demand is met. And Jesus says, I give my life as that price, as that cost, to release that thing from captivity. And that is what I'm calling you all to do in this world. Grace is free, but it ain't cheap. When Jesus calls us to follow, he expects us to serve as he did, to pour ourselves out in love of others, to put all others, every other first before us. And we've made it complicated, and we've corrupted that, and we've talked our way around that, but we can't do that anymore. Jesus said, give all of yourself in service to this world. To offer ourselves as the cost for the release of others, the ransom. To offer ourselves so that others will be set free. To offer ourselves for the liberation of others. The grace of Jesus Christ is absolutely free, but discipleship is costly. Jesus calls us to leave behind all concepts of power and status and importance and glory and even recognition. Jesus tells us to pray in our closets so nobody can see us pray. Jesus tells us to give in secret. It's never been about being known as Christians. It has always been about letting Jesus be known and realized in how we treat people in this world. And so Jesus is pointing us to the cross here. We're in that point in Mark 3 times. He said we're going to Jerusalem and we're going to do this thing. There's going to be an arrest and a trial and a conviction and an execution. He's pointing us towards the cross. The cup he drinks and the baptism, the metaphors are all for the crucifixion. He tells the brothers that those seats, first, they aren't his to give, but also they're reserved. They're prepared for others. I told you I had some thoughts about this. I'm not the first one. So I want you to see Jesus on the cross in what Jesus himself might refer to as his glory. And at his right hand and at his left hand are two criminals on crosses of their own. Those spots have been reserved already. There is absolutely no way around it. A Christian disciple, an adherent to a student of Jesus Christ, serves others, puts others first. Every time. All others. All the time. But remember, you can't pour from an empty pitcher, right? You have to have stuff in the tank to be able to serve the world. Lighting someone else's candle doesn't put yours out. It doubles the light in the world. Amen. Speaking of doubling the light in the world, we don't sell anything. We don't make anything. We don't produce anything. What we're getting ready to do, whatever we put in these baskets, is how this place happens. It's how the lights are on. It's how the lights get fixed and replaced. It's how the heat is on when we need it. And by noon, the AC is on because we need to switch. Right? We're in that week of the year in Missouri. These baskets and what we get online, this is how this place runs. So please, with grateful and thankful hearts, as an attitude and as an act of praise, of worship, of gratitude, let us go to God with our tithes and our offerings this morning. May the ushers come forward.